About the Americans who were evacuated and those that were not able to get on board and are still behind in China?
Hey there, Allison. Yeah, roughly 200 Americans arrived back in the U.S. in California. They're in a military base, currently undergoing more health evaluations. Most of them were U.S. diplomats and their family members. We know a few private citizens were allowed to apply for select spots. But the folks I've been talking to who are still within the city of Wuhan, still within the epicenter of all of this, have been expressing a lot of concern. They want to get out. And they were upset because they felt like this was their only opportunity and they missed the plane. Well, now it looks like the U.S. State Department is going to be offering them another flight. We're seeing just in the past hour or so that the U.S. Embassy posted that they're going to have additional flights, they say plural, that U.S. citizens can apply to be on, and they'll likely take off on or about February 3rd. They initially were talking about some ground transportation, but it looks like more and more folks just want to get out of China altogether, not just out of Hubei province. Meantime, it's not just people within the lockdown zone. We're also hearing from people in other parts of mainland China. Shanghai, a massive city, 24 million people. You would think, okay, that's still bustling and still going along. Well, one American college student who's studying abroad there, she just arrived a few weeks ago. We spoke with her by video chat. She describes a ghost town of sorts. Take a listen to what her experience has brought her.
They shut down our campus. We almost felt as though they didn't realize that we were still living on it because we didn't even have like hot water for a few days, and the cafeterias on campus are closed. So we started realizing, well, we need food, and most stores within walking distance have been shut down, or it's like Zombieland in there. Everyone's fighting for what's left on the shelves.
Zombieland. That is how she describes it. An incredibly dire situation that she's seen in a massive city. I asked her, Allison and John, where's she going? She said she was able to get a flight out going to Africa. I said, who do you know in Africa? She said, no one. It was just a seat available, and I jumped on it. $2,000 is what that ticket cost her. Meantime, she says her friends are also trying to get out. They're going to Hawaii. They're going to London. Anywhere they can find an open seat.
I mean, Zombieland really says it all. It is so haunting to think about what's happening back there in this zone where people are still so scared. But Sanjay, for those 200 passengers who've made it out to California, I understand that the quarantine is voluntary, Sanjay. Why isn't it mandatory?
Well, these are tough sort of questions, and they're balances between the health risk, what they're seeing among these passengers, these patients, and just individual freedoms. I mean, other countries have chosen to make these quarantines mandatory. But here, at least so far, they've said these can be voluntary. They have a discussion with these passengers, and what they have found, as we've looked into this, is that the passengers, they want to be quarantined because they recognize that they could potentially be a risk to their families if they go back home. So the quarantine is in some ways of self-interest as well. They also get to know their status. They get tested. They get monitored. So far, the voluntary quarantine has worked. If somebody says, look, I absolutely need to leave, the CDC has said we will have discussions with those individuals and say, look, potentially you could self-quarantine within your own home, but here are the sort of, the things that you need to monitor and things that you need to keep on top of.